Anyway, we'll talk about it a little bit later on. 4 minutes past 7. Let's get stuck into yet more industrial action expected. This is going to be from junior doctors in March, I believe. A 3-day strike is a possibility. Ballots are going out now. Could we, in this country, be left with no A&E cover? I remember this from 2016. Was it really that long ago? The last time the junior doctors were feeling this way. Let's get the background. Paul Gallagher is with me, health correspondent for the newspaper. Paul, good morning.
Good morning, Andrew.
Yeah, we're expecting industrial action. What do the junior doctors want? How strong is their case, etc.?
So this is a pretty dramatic escalation in the ongoing battle between NHS staff across the country and the government over pay deals. It's pretty guaranteed to happen. As you say, the last time they went on a strike was 2016, and 98% of British Medical Association members voted for striking. So 72-hour strike, that's the difference this time round. Before, in 2016, it was just routine care to begin with on 2 occasions and just for a single day. Before that ramped up to a full walkout, which involved emergency care. So their case is mainly about pay. They were excluded from the current pay round because they agreed, when they finally ended their dispute in 2019, they agreed a multi-year 4-year deal, which saw them get an 8.2% pay rise over 4 years, roughly 2% a year. And this is the last year of that multi-year pay deal. So they're saying they've suffered a real terms pay cut of 26% since 2008, and they're seeking pay restoration, which of course means a 26% pay rise to get back to those 2008 levels. So that's their case. They're saying they've been ignored for too long. They're saying that the government, while the government says their door is always open, they have failed to hear from Steve Barclay, the Health Secretary, about their concerns, and it's urging Steve Barclay to meet with them and negotiate a solution to avoid the need for industrial action come March. At a time, of course, when the winter pressures will just about to be finally easing, it's going to throw the NHS back into chaos.
What would the effect be of, junior doctors going out on strike? What would actually happen? What is the reality?
So we know from what happened in 2016 when they went on a 2-day strike that caused the cancellation of around 120,000 planned operations and appointments. So using that, we can surmise that there's going to be more than 200,000 cancellations of operations and outpatient appointments across those 3 days. Now they're saying, the BMA is saying they're making this announcement now to give trusts plenty of time to arrange cover, because, as you say, it includes emergency care. So hospitals across England are going to be heavily reliant on senior consultants to cover those shifts that the junior doctors would be making. But there's not an unlimited number of senior consultants. There's going to be gaps, huge gaps in rotas around the country, because we know, again, based on previous strike action, that most of those 45,000 junior doctors are likely to walk out. There'll only be a handful of people probably crossing the picket line. So while they're giving people 2 months' notice, there are going to be huge problems, lots of, a very large number of appointments and operations cancelled. There's very little people can do about that, and it's going to all add to the growing and seemingly never-ending backlog of care across England.
And just lastly, Paul, there's a possibility of legislation passing, probably slim, I don't know, by this government to guarantee minimum service levels across a number of different industries. Would the junior doctors be a part of this legislation?
It looks like they would be. This is a sort of tactic that the government seems to be, a road they seem to be going down to try and prevent this kind of action from happening again in the future, which would cover all public services. Of course, that hasn't gone down well at all, not only with junior doctors, but nurses and ambulance workers, who, of course, are set to go on strike for 4 days, 4 separate days later this month as well. It doesn't look like this is going to come to any kind of resolution anytime soon. all the NHS trusts just are desperate for people to get around the table and to try and negotiate something. The government are saying, well, hang on, the current pay deal or the pay talks for next year's award has started already, and so they're trying to say wait until April and we'll give you a better deal then. But whether or not people want to wait that long, I don't think it's going to happen.
Great wrap up. Thanks for all the information, Paul Gallagher. Thank you, health correspondent for the I newspaper. Dr. Robert Laurensen is with me, co-chair of the BMA Junior Doctor Committee. Dr. Laurensen, good morning.
Good morning, Andrew.
All right. Well, here we go again. We're going to see a strike by the looks of it, aren't we?
I think it's very likely, and I think it's a culmination of 15 years of ongoing pay cuts that have amounted to junior doctors losing a quarter of their pay packet.
Right. Well, you've got a 4-year deal, though, haven't you, that you agreed to, which runs out in April. So the government are going to ask you to wait until April and then have the pay review then. Is that not fair enough? You agreed to that back when, didn't you?
So that 4-year pay deal amounts to about 2% a year. And part of that agreement was for the government to control inflation. They failed on their end of the bargain. And part of that agreement also had a clause in that allowed either the junior doctors, the government, or allegedly independent pay body to make a recommendation unilaterally should any circumstances change. Now, we've just gone through a pandemic where junior doctors put in more than 100%. They stretched themselves thin, far.
Yeah, so did a lot of people. I accept your point, but so did a lot of people. And the government aren't entirely in control of inflation. To step back a second, there are other factors in that. What are you actually saying here?
Well, what I'm saying is that when junior doctors went to work as critical workers and provided a critical service, they demonstrated their value to this government.
A lot of, you know what, I think people are going to get really tired of that argument. And I know they did because a lot of people did. And I know particularly you were on the front line as health workers, and I don't mean to be personal here, but a lot of people did, and a lot of people had their lives completely shattered. So we understand that. So that you're talking about public goodwill there. Okay, fine. Let's just get straight into this. What do you get paid?
So myself personally, or the profession?
Well, just generally speaking, you've got a guaranteed job, haven't you?
So a doctor graduating in their first year with about £100,000 worth of debt.
No, it doesn't matter about that because
£14 an hour.
£14 an hour.
£14 an hour for a doctor in their first year. And a doctor who's in their 10th year of full-time practice.
Yep.
Who could be a very senior but termed junior doctor, who's a very qualified and experienced brain surgeon, could be earning as little as £28 an hour. That's tremendous.
I don't know any brain surgeons earning 28 quid an hour, do I?
How many brain surgeons do you know?
I don't know. Well, the wait for neurology is absolutely epic at the moment, as I'm sure you know. But what brain surgeons are on 28 quid an hour after 10 years of... I mean, seriously?
Yes.
Well, how much does that equate to in a year? Do you want me to work that out?
Their annual basic salary on a 40-hour working week, so not a 37.5 working hour week, but a 40 average hour week, is £58,000.
Right. And the pension? What? Because I don't believe that most people as senior as you've just described after 10 years are on 28 quid an hour. I don't believe that for a moment. I don't think that's normal.
No, that's precisely what our argument is, and all we're asking for is for a £5 to £10 an hour rise.
But that's not typical.
So our contract is a national contract. It's got a basic pay salary, and there are 5 nodal points which people go up on as they gain experience. Yes. And that's the truth of the matter.
Yeah, your pensions are great. You've got guaranteed pretty well-paid job, even compared to other graduates, and you may put yourself above graduates. I don't know. Are you looking over your shoulder at your friends who went into finance in the city and feeling jealous about this? You've got guaranteed job advancement. And beautiful pension pots and a clear career path if you work hard and you're good at what you do. Are you absolutely sure the public are going to be on board with you?
Well, I think the public are on board with us. You know, we all want a high-wage, high-skilled economy, and doctors are highly skilled, highly talented, and highly educated. I think the British public respects that when people put in the hard graft, that they are rewarded adequately. And we're on, this is a bigger picture. This isn't just some 1 year upset that's caused everyone to throw up their arms in pain. Sure. This is 15 years.
Yeah. Well, you haven't been around for all of that, have you? How old are you?
I'm 28, and I made the decision to become a doctor about 15 years ago. Yeah. I wasn't aware that we were going to go through this long of pay cuts, and the government are signalling further austerity, further pay cuts to us, and that's just not fair.
Yeah, in real terms. Reasonable. You should put in real terms on that, because you're getting a pay rise. But would you? Okay, here, let's get straight down to this then. You cover A&E. Junior doctors are doctors, right? So you cover A&E. You got somebody having a stroke in front of you. If you're on strike, will you treat them?
There will be consultants and specialist associate doctors.
But
who will
will you treat somebody in front of you who's having a stroke or not?
If there is someone in front of me having a stroke, I would have a duty of care, and I would be there to provide that care. But if I'm not at work because this government doesn't value and doesn't respect the service that we provide, then I wouldn't have that duty of care.
How guilty would you feel? Because people are going to get iller and they're going to hurt more, and they're going to have operations cancelled, leading to complications and deeper problems in there. They're going to be in that situation because of your actions. And I know there's a whole load of things behind that, but this is something which will, I think, for some of your members, probably represent a dilemma.
So I already feel guilty. I already feel ashamed and embarrassed at the service that's able to be provided, because the government isn't giving us the staff to run services safely. We've just gone through, and we're still ongoing, massive crises in A&E up and down the country. We're not striking during winter because, unlike the government, we could foresee the issues that would be happening. Every year winter comes around, and this government tolerates the crisis getting worse and worse. But we're making a stand in spring because we want a better future for our profession, and you want a
better amount of pay for you. And that money has to come from somewhere. Where do you think the money, your 26% request, where do you think that money is going to come from?
So, firstly, this isn't actually just about the people that have remained. This is about trying to restore our pay to encourage and entice the great British doctors that have left our country already and bring them back home. That would go a long way in solving our workforce crisis. Okay. And it's all about trying to, the government talk about efficiencies in expenditure and money. And one of the worst things that you can do is throw away your investment. And that's what's happening at the moment. Junior doctors are leaving en masse because they're not being valued, and the government are telling them that they're going to cut their pay further in the future.
It's great speaking with you, and we'll see what happens with the vote. The expectation is that it will be overwhelmingly in favour of industrial action. It's really good to hear your side of things and the passion as well, which I understand completely. Dr. Robert Laurensen, co-chair of the BMA Junior Doctor Committee. Sympathy for junior doctors. 84850 is the text. 0345 6060 973. Look, we don't get many calls between 7 and 8. Call me and you'll get on. Or don't call me and listen. That's fine too. Amelia Cox has the news.
Republican Kevin McCarthy has finally become